Hello, Keith. How are you doing? Hello again.
Hello, yes, welcome. Good to see you again. Yes,
Yeah, it is. Yeah. How's everything?
everything is going very well. No, I wouldn't say same old, but life is proceeding in a logical way. I'm happy, I'm content, and so far, touch wood, no surprises.
Like, I'm so excited for today's episode as well. That we'll talk
Mhm.
about that interesting phase in your life. We'll talk about your adulthood. But before we head over to this phase, I need to just talk about your teenage or that transformation from
Yeah.
being a child and then a teenager. Like, did you have any responsibilities? Like, do you have like a favorite spot to hang out? What did you do actually, and how was it?
Okay. I I had quite a sheltered childhood. Um, it got more exciting as a teenager because I had some more freedoms, but my parents were quite strict. You know, you have to be home by this time. Even at 17, I on Sunday nights I used to go to a youth group, and I had to be home by 10 p.m.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
all my friends would start going home around 10 p.m., but I had to be home at
At
10 p.m.
10. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I resented a little, but I survived.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Usually we heard like from our parents and grandparents that time,
Hmm.
um, people started to work in that early age. Did you
Yeah.
have any kind of responsibilities like that to work like in that early age?
Um, I didn't have to work, but I we used to have a milkman uh, in the old days. Now I sound like my grandfather. In the old days, pe- we used to have milk delivered in bottles to our
Yes.
doors,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Experienced that as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're an old man too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, and we had a terrific milkman, a great guy, and at weekends, I used to get up early, 5 o'clock in the morning, to help him with his deliveries. He would drive the truck, and I would deliver the milk, or we'd work as a team. But
Yeah, 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 yeah,
as a bonus, he taught me to drive, but don't tell the police because it was.
I- um, actually, always like I've noticed that from the last episode. I have like an idea to ask you, like a question to ask you about,
Mhm.
and then you answer it already. Like I was about to ask you, like when did you learn to drive, and
Yeah,
who taught you? Yeah.
yeah. Um,
So this is your was your first time to drive.
yes, yeah. He was a very patient guy.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't actually take my driving test until I think I was 20. Well, it was in 1965 when I took my
1965.
driving test. So I was 20, 25 years
Hmm.
old.
Hmm.
Um, but it was a bit adventurous to
Yes.
be 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, nothing on the roads. And
Yeah,
uh,
cars were rare.
yes, yeah.
Hmm.
But you probably couldn't do it these days.
Hmm.
But
Yes.
yeah, grandfather voice in those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you go to university or college?
Yes, I did. And my last year at school, in what we call the sixth form, which is now the college years, um, I failed exams because I liked reading too much.
Wow.
That's something I got from my mother, a love of reading, and I've been in trouble for it ever since. But
Really?
it's not something I've regretted.
Hmm.
Uh, so I had to repeat my final year, at school, which I enjoyed, to be honest. I was older, slightly more mature, slightly more involved in the school. So,
Yeah.
looking back, I think that was possibly a good thing.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
I didn't get the results I was hoping for,
Hmm.
which I shouldn't have expected for the amount of work I did. So I went to the local government career guidance counsellor, and we
Hmm.
talked about what I enjoyed doing.
Hmm.
I like art. I like art in general. And he said that Liverpool University had vacancies for architecture students.
Hmm.
So I applied and was accepted, and I did 2.5 years of a 7-year architecture course
Really?
at Liverpool. Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
and I gave up because I hated the mathematics of it.
Me neither. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so after your graduation, like
no, I
usually,
didn't. Sorry, I didn't graduate. I changed universities. I went to a different university and
which
studied
major?
graphic design.
Wow.
I was still only 21 years old, still young, still full of dreams. And
Yeah,
um, as a plus, my girlfriend was also at the same university.
yeah.
So I went there, spent 3 years there, and graduated as a graphic designer.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it opened my eyes to the world because university is more about learning. It's about
Yes.
learning about life.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's particular. I don't know what it's like in Egypt or Saudi Arabia, but I, from talking to students in Turkey, you learn, but you mature.
Yes. Yeah, 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 exactly. I have the same idea that studying in university kind of forming our mentality. Like if you stop learning, for example, in that high school phase, so you're still with the mentality of high school student, you know.
Yes,
So yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree. Mhm.
yeah. High schools teach you to pass exams. Universities teach you to think, and I
Absolutely,
think
yeah.
that's the big difference.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually here in Egypt, like after graduation, we have to serve in the military. We
Mhm.
have that mandatory military service. So is that the same in the UK?
No, it was until about 1956. I think we had conscription, but after that it was dropped. Um, I
Mhm,
had a little sort of military service at high school because we had an
mhm,
army cadet force,
mhm.
um, and sort of baby soldiers, if you like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
sort of
Kind
basic.
of, how to say it, community service, like to
Uh,
help in
it,
maintenance, move
it,
house.
no, it was all done within the school.
Uh-huh.
There was no connection with the community, but we learned
Mhm,
how to strip and clean guns. We learned how to march, how to salute,
mhm,
um,
mhm,
but it was linked to other outdoor activities, hiking, potholing, skiing, and it was all included
mhm,
within that part of the school.
mhm. So I feel like you've learned from it.
Oh, definitely, yes, yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
My parents at first weren't keen. They they said you're not going to join the CCF.
Mhm.
You can go
What's
to
CCF?
the Combined Cadet Force.
Mhm, mhm,
You can go to the library and study.
mhm.
Okay, so I go to the library, but oh, there's a good book.
Yes, yes.
Didn't quite go to plan, but
Yeah, yeah.
eventually I persuaded my parents, and I became an instant sergeant. Wow. In
Yeah,
charge of
yeah.
training the first years in or the first year intake, if you like, into the Cadet Force. And I suppose that was my first experience of teaching. It wasn't teaching per se, but you were instructing people, and you
Yeah, yeah.
learn to deal with people.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say, looking back, without me realizing it, that was my first taste of teaching and enjoying doing it.
What was your first job, and what did you like, what you don't like about it?
Okay, my first job was the milkman, um, and I also, um,
Like, what after?
after I left university as a graphic designer, I went to live in Wales,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I worked for a fashion company. Um, it's a well-known fashion company in the West. I don't know if it's worldwide. It's called Laura Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
It's since been. It was a family company,
Mm-hmm.
and it's since been bought out by an international conglomerate. But it was a small company in the middle of Wales, and again, it was a learning experience because the Welsh and the English don't always get on.
Yes, yes. I heard about that.
Yeah, but if um, I found that once you got to know some people, then that was your passport into the society. You
Yes.
had to be accepted by one or two people to be to become part of the tribe or the group, if you like.
Yeah.
Uh, I had a fantastic time. I worked there for 3 years. Um, that's when I really got interested in sailing. I'd sailed during the summers when I was at home, but this we had a huge reservoir, and for 2 years it was great.
Mm-hmm.
We competed. But in the third summer we had a drought, and the lake we were sailing on became this deep, so it was a
Yeah.
bit impossible.
Actually, kind of, I have the same experience. I started to work till like when I was 18. I started to
Yeah,
sell like car parts, like accessories and those genuine parts.
yeah,
So yeah, kind of, I have the same experience. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. What job did you do most of your life?
Uh, Nothing. Too
Nothing.
many, too many different jobs. I'm afraid. Uh,
Uh-huh.
after after living in Wales, my first wife and I got divorced,
Mhm.
and um, she actually introduced me to my next girlfriend. It's a crazy life.
Exactly. Like,
Um,
it's unbelievable.
yeah, they were good friends, and
Uh-huh.
Kate, her name was. She was coming to Spain to teach.
Mhm.
She'd been a teacher in Venezuela. She was coming to Spain to teach, so I came with her, and I was in the process of applying for teaching positions in Spain when advertisement on a yacht asking
Mhm.
for people to work on a yacht.
Mhm.
And it was a sailing yacht. It was 30 meters long, 30 meters
Wow.
high. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. This
And so,
luxurious yacht.
yeah, it was owned by a crazy French millionaire.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
he had
without doubt. Yeah.
he had some very strange ideas about the world, and he wanted to save his family from the world. So he lived on the yacht with his family, and um, he wanted crew members to run the ship.
Mhm.
So there were. I joined. I think it was May, and we took on two or three other young guys traveling Europe, We had a Spanish guy, a German guy, and they came on. And because I was a bit older than they were, it was my responsibility to train them.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up as deck master, which is the guy one under the captain, if you like, first mate,
Wow.
responsible for the ship's maintenance. And they were 3 of the best years of my life. We didn't sail as much as I wanted to, but we visited different places. That's when I first fell in love with Spain, because we visited places all the way down the east coast of Spain. We went to the south of France, to Monte Carlo, to the Balearic Islands, and we spent time in each of them.
So I guess it's your most pleasurable job so far, or even in your life.
Up to starting teaching English, yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But please don't misunderstand. Every job I've had, I've enjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely. But like we talk about like levels, like to set them in
Yes,
order.
yeah. So it has to be teaching, sailing, and
Really?
then basically everything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you enjoy about teaching?
People.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Meeting
learned
people.
over the years that I enjoy working with people more than anything else. The jobs I've enjoyed have been where I've been working with or interacting with people.
Yeah.
One of the jobs I had, I was a bus driver for 11 years.
Wow.
And again, I enjoyed it because you'd meet different people on different bus routes. But
Yes.
if you ended up on the same bus route for a while, you got to know the people. And you, I've got a sense of humour, and I used to joke with people. 99% of people understood it was a joke and they would laugh along, and 1% would get very upset.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So like you've talked about like being married and divorced. So like, do you have children?
Yes, I do, but that's from my
How many?
third wife.
Oh wow! Like you've married 3 times.
Yes, and
Uh-huh.
I'm divorced 3 times. I hasten to add. Yeah, my yeah, I have one son with my last wife.
Mm-hmm.
He's 30 years old now,
Mm-hmm.
and he's married. And 8 months, just over 8 months ago, he produced a grandson for me,
Wow. Yes.
and that was a shock to my system, um,
Why?
because I I don't know why exactly, but you think, oh yes, it's a grandson. I love my son, and I've got a
Yes.
grandson, but I love my son, but I love my grandson.
Yes. Yes. More. Yeah. I feel more.
Not exactly more, but it takes me back to when my son was
Yes.
this.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're
Yeah.
reliving the early years.
Mm-hmm. 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 So, what's your favorite story about your children?
Just growing up, he got involved in the school play, and we had to produce costumes for him.
Mhm.
I was running the Boy Scouts. He joined the Boy Scouts, and we camping and hiking, and it was just doing many things together. Um, the hard part, again, that's something I learned from my father, is I was my father's son. He ran a scout group, but I definitely did not get any special treatment, and that taught me, I think, how to deal with having my son in my scout group. Yeah, he
Yes.
was just
Yes.
one of the scouts.
Mhm.
Maybe I was harder on him than I might have been on another boy.
Mhm.
But I can't have harmed him very much because now he runs 3 scout groups in the UK.
Wow.
So again, it's something that's been passed down the generation. I don't know, but it's people working
It
with children.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, your feeling while you're raising your children, like, what's the best part? What's like the hardest part?
The best part was when he did what he was told to do. The
Yeah.
hardest part was when he didn't. Um, uh, I have a lot of happy memories with him. Um, Playing football, uh, camping, and just encouraging him to do his best. That it didn't matter if he didn't succeed in what he wanted. The important thing was that he tried his best. And I think, I like to think that he still has that attitude that
Uh-huh.
you it's what you put into something that determines what you get out of something.
Mhm. Yes.
The more you put in, the more you get out.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think that's true when it comes to teaching as well. The more you put into your teaching, the more you get from teaching.
Mhm. Yeah. 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 You reap what you sow.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Mhm.
And if you sow wisely, you reap 10 times what you sow. If you
Mhm.
sow the minimum, you get the minimum in return.
Mhm. Like, like something funny or embarrassing he said in that early age, and you will never forget it.
Okay. To be honest, he was a boring child. He never did that. Uh, and, but I remember um, my parents used to visit us regularly because we lived in Cornwall and my parents lived in the northwest.
Mhm.
And I can remember when my father and my son got together,
Mhm.
they had a terrific time. My father became a big kid, and my son got involved with it. Um, and that, like, again, learning experience. One reason I want to go back to the UK regularly, I want to be a similar grandfather to my grandson that my father was to my son.
And what makes you proud of him, of your son?
That he started university but had to give up. He had severe peritonitis, and when he recovered, he was told he'd have to repeat his second year at university, and he didn't want to do that, so he became a postman, and he spent 8 years being a postman. And 12 months ago, he decided he wanted to go back to university. So he enrolled in a part time course and he's just finished his first year doing a degree in biology at university. So I'm proud that he's developed his own way of thinking. He's decided being a postman, yes, I'm making good money, but that I can do more with my life. He's
Yeah.
realized that it's not
Mhm.
it's not the money you make, it's what you do with your life,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
more important than money. And I
Yeah.
think that's one reason why he understands me living in Spain teaching English more than if he hadn't made those kinds of decisions himself.
Yeah. So finally, like, what's the best thing about being a parent and a grandparent?
It's just seeing people, seeing them develop. That you start off with a small bundle, which is a noise at one end and a smell at the other. and they grow over time. You watch them develop. You help where you can. You can't force them because they grow the way they're intended to grow. I think to a certain extent, and then to see my son behaving in a similar way with my grandson
Yes.
when I visit. I know you grow up and say, well, my father said this, I will never do that. Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. Really, I love the lot, and it's really interesting to share. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. And
Thank you for
yeah, we
asking
will.
my questions. See you
You
next
will.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you.
See you. Take
Yeah.
care.
Have a good day. Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank you.